You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!
Hello, everybody. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. It's good to have you here, man. It really is. It really, really is. Let me see. Put that up a little bit so I don't have to put up my microphone at all. There you go. Okay, so it's Wednesday night. We were just hanging out a few hours ago, it felt like. And that was on the 10th, and today is the 11th. So I'm really happy to be joined by you wonderful lads and ladies, lords and ladies, guys and dolls, right here from Cozy Studio A. Well, what are we going to do tonight? We've got our good buddy Robert Phoenix coming by in the next couple of minutes. I haven't talked to Robert, and I had to go check. I said I knew it was a while. And the last episode that I have on the books over here is June of 2025. So, not a complete year, but a long time. And I love talking just what's going on in the world, the culture, and everything else with Robert. And of course, he always brings the heat with his analysis of the stars and what's going on above to kind of give you a parallel to everything that's going on below. But I have that in the first half. Well, a whole bunch of things that we can kick around. And then in the second half, we have to talk about coffee nudists. Well, it started off as a coffee nudist kind of a thing. I was looking into an old newspaper clipping that I came across a few weeks ago. It's from the World's News. It was a newspaper. It was published on June 13th, 1942. And it's just, talking about people who drink their black coffee unsweetened or sometimes very superior about it. And why is that? I know black, unsweetened, nude coffee, just nude. Give it to me nude. But also hot. It can never chill. There's never any appropriate time when coffee should be served cold or cold brew or anything else like that. So I saw this. But inside of the article, the clipping, it gave a little something that opened my mind to another topic altogether that we can go to and branch off. And that is about other unconventional food habits that we have outside of the way that some people doll up their coffee before drinking it. I've got some great responses from people in this audience on not only the post that I put up on the official Instagram, but also on the Twitter. The Instagram's been hopping almost a full year. June will actually be a year of the Instagram just being taken to a whole new level, and it has become a considerable engine for change in this show's existence as far as how many people have been exposed to it and how we've been able to draw more people in from the audience to interact. So good stuff there, and I hope that it inspires some of you guys to call in. That'll be the second half. We'll have a little bit of fun with that because things have been kind of heavy and dark and morbid. And maybe they'll stay that way for the first hour, but there should always be something else to dive into. Let me see here. What's the other thing I had? Oh, just to remind you all that as part of the Super Chat raffle tonight, I'm going to be drawing a name tomorrow. So tonight and tomorrow, you still have a chance to get in on it. You send a Super Chat on YouTube, Rumble, Quite Frankly Superchat.com, or the gold pills on Pilled or QuiteFrankly.tv, whichever it is. Support the show, and you leave a joke, shout somebody out, a thought, a poignant thought about whatever it is we're talking about tonight, but you also support the show. And you put your name into the running for what is now an ounce of silver that's going to be mailed right to your house, a physical ounce of silver, not a stock certificate. You're going to get a copy, a signed copy, signed to you, of Jane Barlow's book, Be Your Own Shaman, a field guide to utilize 101 of the world's most healing plants. Not only how to identify them, how to grow them, and then how to use them. It's a book about making yourself independent and really knowledgeable about the healing powers of maybe some of the things that you usually pull out. You say, get this weed out of here. What if that weed will cure something? You never know, or treat something, or just smell good. Anyway, there's that, and now I'm also adding a Keto Brainz golden ticket into the mix. This ticket right here, on the other side, is going to be a QR code that allows you a full bag of Keto, a 1 month supply of Keto Brainz. So there you go. Now we've got 3 things there. We've got silver, we've got a fantastic book that needs to be in your home library, and now the Keto Brainz golden ticket. Who the hell's going to win the golden ticket? I'll tell you who's going to win the golden ticket. People in Ohio who have a 1.13% chance of being abducted by aliens. That's right. There's a study, a new comparative report found that Ohioans have a 1.13% chance of being abducted by aliens. With over 4,000 abduction reports since 2019, Ohio is ranked 21st in the nation for alien abduction odds, according to a report from Canada Sports Betting that drove into abduction statistics across North America. According to the report, which considered data from 2019 to 2024, Ohioans have 1 in 89 chance of reporting an alien abduction. With a total population of just under 12 million people, CSB found Ohio has a reported alien abduction for every 11,300 residents. That's almost like what it should be. Actually, no. What is it? 30,000 constituents deserve one House representative. So if it's 11,000, you have more representation with non-human intelligences than you do in Congress if you're in Ohio. I would say whatever you can do, get these things to help us out here. Help. We need help. Every 11,300 residents has one alien that is is assigned to them, and the rest of us just have Ocasio-Cortez per 800,000 constituents in Queens and the Bronx. Can you imagine that? I'd take the alien. I'd take the alien any day of the week. If it came between that or having Ocasio-Cortez as my representative to the House, then again, what I have right now ain't any better. I forgot his name, to be honest, because they're all the same. Whether it's the guy who pulled the fire alarm or, I don't know, that the George Latimer. George Latimer's next door with his crazy eyes. Researchers were clear to note the ranking does not reflect the validity of the abduction stories, of course, but instead tracks the frequency of reports. I don't know what to say. Something be going down out there in Ohio. Here's something I thought was interesting, though. This is coming from Oddity Central, and it's about Russia. A startup company allegedly uses brain implants to turn pigeons into surveillance drones. Well, we know that birds are not real and that they were all replaced by drones years ago just to be able to spy on us. And this Russian neurotechnology company, Neri, claims to have successfully turned pigeons into biodrones using implanted brain interfaces. Modern drones are efficient and versatile, but Moscow-based startup Neri believes pigeons are superior because of their greater range, endurance, and ability to access hard-to-reach locations. They don't require batteries. They can fly in different weather conditions. They are easily replaceable. But how does one control a pigeon as they would a drone. Well, Neary claims to have developed a brain implant that allows its staff to remotely control the bird, effectively turning them into bio-drones. Small electrodes are inserted into the bird's brain through its skull and connected to a stimulator mounted on its head. The birds are also equipped with solar backpack. Oh my gosh, solar back. That's going to be very, very inconspicuous pigeon. The birds are equipped with a solar backpack that houses a controller, a PlayStation controller, and other electronics, as well as a chest-mounted camera for surveillance purposes. It's going to have a camera on its chest, a backpack with solar panels on its back, an interface that is connected right to its skull and coming out of its head, and it's just, oh my gosh. Yeah, you're going to see that stupid bird coming a mile away. That thing lands on your air conditioner, and I think you're going to remember it. This is so stupid. You know what we talk about? I mean, they say it's a Russian startup. I don't know if it had any money from the government. Neary claims that its method requires no prior conditioning of the bird. Yeah, well, where'd the money come from? Because if this came from any kind of public funds, like if it's taken from Russian citizens and something like that, that money went somewhere else. This is bullshit. This is stupid. But on the other hand, it's very well known at this point, and I had to go into my archives, and I had a couple of things to bring out right off the top of my head. This is from 2018, Newsweek, how the CIA used brain surgery to make 6 remote-controlled dogs. And I don't know if they have it in here, in this particular article, but the CIA had also done, well, they say that it was tests on being able to use, to be able to commandeer the bodies and the brains and the physical capabilities of dolphins to spy and to get into, restricted waters and all that other stuff. But like most things, it says that the results yielded no actionable intelligence and no utility whatsoever. So they stopped it. They always stopped it. Just like they stopped MK Ultra. They weren't able to control a human being. Newly released files from 2018, remember, behavior modification or mind control projects conducted as part of the infamous Project MK Ultra revealed the CIA experimented in more than controlling humans with psychotropic drugs, electrical shocks, and radio waves. They also created field operational remote control dogs. The documents were provided under the Freedom of Information Act by John Greenwald, founder of the Black Vault, a site specializing in classified government records. In one declassified letter released as a file C000218825, a redacted individual writes to a doctor whose name has also been redacted. It's probably Fauci. You remember finding out, all those, I don't think any of those experiments that he was running in Pennsylvania near the Pittsburgh area at some laboratory have stopped. I don't know if they stopped. Where they took I think the scalp of a baby and they sewed it to the ass of a rat. Like seriously. Like that's the kind of things that NIH was doing. And the writer of the letter is already an expert in the field whose earlier work had culminated with the creation of 6 remote control dogs, which could be made to run, turn, and stop. Here's a quote. As you know, I spent about 3 years working in the research area of rewarding electrical stimulation of the brain. In the laboratory, we performed a number of experiments with rats. In the open field, we employed dogs of several breeds. The letter writer characterizes the work with remote controlling dogs as successful and describing, quote, a demonstrated procedure for controlling the free field behaviors of an unrestrained dog. I think it goes beyond Pavlovian training too. That's what he's talking about. And, but yeah, electrical stimulation of the brain. I have one other thing that maybe you forget about. I mean, we know that this is July of 2021, the chilling world of mind control as scientists experiment on monkey brains. They tape memories and create remote control mice. There you go. There's a monkey with something tied to his brain, living a wonderful life, of course. And all the experiments will only benefit the world. Only benefit the world. This, on the other hand, is something else. And I will roll with this until Robert Phoenix shows up. And this is Washington State Fusion Center. You remember this? This was a couple of years ago as well. When was it? April 18th, 2018. Washington State Fusion Center accidentally releases records on the remote mind control. Okay, so here you go. So when you send thousands of FOIA requests, you're bound to get some very weird responses from time to time. Recently, we here at Muck Rock had one of our most bizarre gets yet, Washington State Fusion Center's accidental release of records on the effects of remote mind control. As a part of my ongoing project looking at fusion centers, investigations into Antifa, and various white supremacist groups, I filed a request with the WSFC. I got back many standard documents in response, including emails, intelligence briefings, and bulletins, reposts from other fusion centers, and then there was one titled EM Effects on Human Body.zip. Okay? EM stands for electromagnetic. What you're looking at here is a psychoelectronic weapons that purportedly use electromagnetism to do a wide variety of horrible things to people, such as reading or writing your mind, causing intense pain, rigor mortis, and most heinous of all, itching. Okay, so they got this thing over here. I don't know if I can make it a little bit higher, bigger for you. I mean, there's a number of it. Forced memory blanking and induced erroneous actions. Down here, the genitals is pretty interesting because special attention to genital area can force itching, but it can also force orgasm or intense pain, which, can be interchangeable sometimes. And there is I just think that's an interesting one. I wonder if there has to be something on the record. Has to be something on the record for, a forced orgasm. Just with an energy beam. Hold on a second. Here we go. Now, to be clear, the presence of these records, which are not created by the Fusion Center, of course, and are not government documents, should not be seen as evidence that the DHS possesses these devices. Well, they are. They do. No doubt about it. I mean, the itching and all that stuff, the itching and the burning, that's classic active denial. We know all about that. We know they're covering their ass over here, but this is for sure something that has been out there for a while. But it's pretty cool online technobabble. That's what they say. So just check the detail on the slides too. The black helicopter shooting off its psychotronic weapons, mapping your brain, broadcasting your thoughts back to some fusion center. I wish their examples of ELF brain stimulation was a little bit clearer though. Okay, the brain mapping thing. It's insanely cool to say if it wasn't being used for such horrible reasons. Brain mapping. It's difficult to source exactly what these images come from, but it's obviously not government material. One seems to come from a person named Supratik Seha, who's identified as being a software engineer. The brain mapping slide has no sourcing, and the image of the body being assaulted by psychotronic weapons is sourced from Raven1.net, who apparently didn't renew their domain. They could have just been shell companies. Could have been people that they're working with, and to be able to offset any kind of interest into the government agencies that are working on all that stuff. Anywho, I thought that would be a nice little bit of a weird way to open up for our guest tonight. But our guest is not here right now. So what I'm going to do is just lean on you guys for a little bit, because all the stuff I have for the second half, well, there is this, because I don't really need to bring it up with Robert. And there's a lot of it that is actually popping up right now that can't be, I don't know how much of it is real. And of course, every time I find something like this, I send it over to Jay Gulanello to investigate, because a lot of it has to do with healthcare and research and things that are going on. But people were calling attention to the fact that on January 22nd, because it's been a year since President Trump issued that executive order that announced we would be leaving the WHO. You need to give like a year notice, or at least we gave them that courtesy of a year's notice. And on January 22nd of this year, 2026, we withdrew officially from the World Health Organization. Then suddenly, and this is where a lot of this stuff I have yet to verify, suddenly starting around February 1st, just about a week after we left the WHO, there's all of these stories about breakthroughs and cancer cures that are popping up all around the world. For example, around February 1st to February 4th, around there, that's when this. I'll just read this an example of a tweet that has been out there because it's been repeated many times, but that there was some kind of a breakthrough with pancreatic cancer in Spain and colon cancer in South Korea, colorectal, lung metastases from China, HPV-related cancers in Mexico, leukemia, blood cancer breakthroughs in Vietnam. And then, of course, the Russian cancer vaccine that there's rumors that China is getting ready to, is assessing and getting ready to approve. And I went into each of these things because people are saying this would be an incredible, if it's all real, it would be an incredible blow to the pharmaceutical industry in the United States, to anybody who might be, adhering to that old adage about a patient cured is a customer lost and whatnot, and how it might be an attack on a little bit more of a righteous attack, although an admission that there's probably been effective treatments that don't even need to be created in a laboratory, to be honest, for God knows how many years. But here's what I found about all this stuff. Some of it seems like there's some merit, and other stuff I don't get. I really don't. First of all, I looked into the Spain thing, and I saw that the Spanish National Cancer Research Center in Spain, led by Mariano Barbacid, had achieved a major breakthrough by completely eliminating pancreatic cancer tumors in mice using a novel triple drug combination therapy. And this was published in PNAS. 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 Hit me right in the PNAS. PNAS, I can't say that. I'm going to have to say the acronym over and over again now. In early 2026, this approach targets multiple survival pathways simultaneously, providing a potential pathway toward human clinical trials. So I did find something on that coming out of Spain that people seem very, very excited about. That's pancreatic too. Then we have this. I went to South Korea. I said, what is this all about colon cancer breakthrough in South Korea? That they have recently, I got this off of Google as well, recently made significant breakthrough, primarily focusing on cancer reversion therapy instead of destroying cancer cells with traditional methods like chemotherapy. This innovative approach aims to reprogram them back into healthy, normal functioning cells. The result, let's see here, how it works. The term used digital twin simulation of gene networks to identify 3 master regulator genes. And the result was, by suppressing these specific genes, they successfully turned colon cancer cells back into healthy enterocytes, normal intestinal cells, in lab tests and in animal models. So, and they say, unlike chemotherapy, this would target only the cancerous gene networks and potentially eliminate the side effects typically associated with these, allopathic kind of medicine. This would be allopathic, I guess. But, this is why I send it to people like Jay, because I know that it's not just, hey, there's a tumor that showed up in one part of the body that needs to be reversed or excised or shrunk up or something like that. It usually it's been taught to me over the years is that when something like this shows up, it is usually the indicator of multiple systems in your body breaking down as it pertains to the ability for the body to reach cellular autophagy and clear away dead cells, or to be able to or just to be able to limit like chronic inflammation. Like there's so many different things that go into this scenario that it's never really just about the tumor. It's more so about why is the body that is designed to clear this stuff out all throughout our lifetimes and to be able to correct and achieve homeostasis naturally just by design. Why has it broken down to the point where this thing has been able to take root and be able to overwhelm the system that is miraculously designed to cannibalize it on the day-to-day basis? So, I mean, obviously, it would be great to have non-toxic treatments to be able to get people back from the brink of some really serious situations so that you can perhaps, get some cover fire to figure out what the hell's going on in the body that needs to be re-regulated, and therefore this doesn't come back. But obviously, what we're doing right now hasn't been helping that much. But that's with Korea. So seems like that's with Spain and Korea, yeah. China, I found this, and all I was able to get some stuff off of Google. And I went into their Gemini portal over there just to see what bounced back. And China is advancing cancer treatment by integrating innovative immunotherapies with traditional Chinese medicine, which I thought was interesting. And they talk about some promising drugs and whatnot. But, China, I don't know how much you trust them more than anybody else. Now, as far as the Mexican HPV related cancers, I absolutely nothing. I didn't find anything. I don't know about that. And the Vietnam thing, it was kind of like hit or miss. I saw that there were some therapy milestones that were achieved in 2025, something like that. But it did seem like there's a lot of movement in the beginning of this year where, especially with pancreatic and colon cancer, if there is something there and it's not chemo based. The other thing there too is I've been asking around and checking and doing Control F searches on anything that mentions mRNA, and I didn't find anything with those first two. The Russian cancer vaccine that they are supposedly developing and have been developing is mRNA. And I don't know why I'm seeing a lot of people saying, thank God, this is fantastic, whatever. It's like, do we trust the mRNA technology now just because it was the Russians that are putting it out there? If the Chinese sign up on it, and I don't get that. So when I look into what the Russians are doing on a vaccine front, it is all mRNA, and I don't know where our trust has come from that. Why there is some it's being warmly received by some people. So I don't know about that. Anyway, that was something else I wanted to bring up that seemed to be just kind of like moving and shaking this month so far. As early as we are in the month, it was just at the end of January that we left the WHO. Then suddenly I'm getting flooded all over the place by stories of how cancer is being cured all over the place, or at least there's really significant breakthroughs. And what does that mean? Is it, what's the play here and who's behind it? And what does it all mean? I don't know. But I wanted to throw that out there because there are a lot of things moving and shaking. There are a lot of things to keep our eyes on. One of those things we should keep our eyes on, our next guest would say, is the skies. And it's good to hear from and see Robert Phoenix again. How the hell you doing, man? Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. Bobby Darin was playing. Go ahead, Robert. It's good to hear from you again.
Hey, Frank, it's great to be here, and I'm a big Bobby Darin fan.
Oh, good. Well, then, I'm going to play Dream Lover every time you show up now, from now on.
Yeah, he was, my internet's going to be a little weird, so you have to bear with me. But Bobby Darin, of course, was at the RFK assassination.
Yeah, your internet is already kind of messing up. You're frozen right now. I think you said that Bobby Darin was at the RFK assassination? Okay, well, he's gone. That's,
Uh,
hello?
yep,
I kind
I'm
of,
here.
yeah, it's a, we're, you're kind of choppy. I see that you have a bad connection. It's coming through on my end. But let's just roll the
Yeah,
dice. Roll the dice. You said that Bobby Darin was at the RFK assassination.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was there.
Was he performing?
No, he was on tour basically with RFK and following him on his political junket through California, and he was very involved in the campaign. So he was a witness to RFK's death, along with the football player Rosie Greer, who I think was actually hit by a stray bullet, wherever that stray bullet came from. So there's a little Bobby Darin trivia for you.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Then did you ever see? Maybe he had. I have to see if he ever spoke about it in years years after it. I mean, obviously his presence would be known, but that's some interesting trivia right there for sure. What do you think? You know, speaking of untimely deaths and contentious official stories about deaths and all that, it's not really a breaking news piece for people who have been alive for the last 40 years. But Kurt Cobain, his death is being re-examined once again, and once again, it seems more likely that he was murdered than not.
Yeah, yeah. That's been that was hashed over. What was the name? Nick Broomfield, I believe, was a documentarian who got into that really early, and it caused a lot of controversy because a lot of people didn't want to admit to the fact that there could have been foul play in Kurt Cobain's death. And then, once the gun stopped smoking, then you'd have to figure out who pulled the trigger. And I think Nick Broomfield was over the target when he uh, pretty much made connected the dots, and the dots go back to Courtney Love, and the she was involved with or in contact with this guy who went by the name of El Duce, who was a member of the Mentors, and the Mentors were this really kind of vile rock group, if you could call them that. Their genre, they created their own genre called rape rock, and I guess El Duce was a cheap hire to take out Kurt Cobain, and he's no longer around. He's passed away. But yeah, it's like you begin to look at some of these cold file cases, and you begin to wonder how many more are going to be exhumed, and we're going to start to see the light of day on some of this stuff. And I think the interesting question from this point forward is what happens with Courtney Love and that whole legacy, and yeah, to be determined, right? So it's like, yeah, it wasn't he didn't commit suicide, it was a homicide, but then it's just a short leap from there to who might have been behind pulling the trigger, which we know that Kurt didn't do. He had too much invested. He had a baby girl, and I think it's really rare for parents to consider taking their own lives once they have a child. Even somebody like Kurt Cobain, who was very, very complex. I think he had, basically parent syndrome, and would not be invested in taking his own life. And the whole idea that he was a heroin addict also provides kind of a weird backdrop. And it's not to say that those guys didn't experiment with drugs. I was living in Seattle at the time grunge was happening, so heroin was in some ways the drug du jour. You had the singer of Mother Love Bone, Andy Wood. Mother Love Bone basically became Pearl Jam, and he wound up ODing just as Mother Love Bone was about to make it really big. So it wasn't as if the drugs weren't around, but Kurt had a really bad stomach um, ailment that he was dealing with, and I think he would medicate to deal with what he had EBS or he was dealing with abdominal pain a lot of the time, so he would self-medicate with that. I don't think he self-medicated to the point where he was headed towards personal extinction. But again, that's not to say that those drugs weren't around and available. So it's going to be really interesting to see where it goes from here because now that we know that he didn't commit suicide, well, who killed him and why? And I don't think it takes a lot of, but you never know. I mean, it seems like the justice system today is really selective and only really goes after people that they feel like they want to go after, even if they're not guilty. So I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith that they'll be able to, uh, uncover who the killer was. And even if they do, and it is this El Duce guy, he's not around anymore. So that leads you to another kind of, cold case, closed case sort of scenario,
Yeah,
right?
well,
So
I know that there's also not a little bit less than loose connections to we brought up MK Ultra and mind control before, but a lot of people believe that Courtney Love herself was genuinely an MK Ultra victim. That I believe her father was a tour manager or something for the Grateful Dead, and that she might have been dosed with LSD really, really early on in her life and all that stuff. Now, as far as what she was in that marriage and what the motive for getting rid of Kirk was, that the theories have always come around to things like jealousy and, of course, impending divorce and whether or not she was going to lose any rights to what I think at the time was already over $100 million, and of course publishing rights to the music. So that's that would have been an issue. So there's definitely a financial motive there. But yeah, in the last 24 hours alone, there has been those old clips of the interview with El Duce, the guy who spoke very candidly about how much he was offered to kill Kirk, and he essentially didn't take it because he didn't think it was actually a serious offer, not because the work was too dirty. That's been around for a long time. That clip, and when you hear somebody talk, even if you don't know them from a hole in the wall, sometimes it just rings true. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, sometimes it's hard to separate the art from the person.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get into the mentor's content, it's like these are the lyrics of a really, really deranged person, right? The stuff that they talk about in their songs is almost Jeffrey Epstein like in its nature. And by the way, Courtney Love's father was a guy by the name of Hank Hyena. That's what his Grateful Dead name was. And Courtney Love has spoken on many occasions that she was the product of a rape. So her father, her biological father, had a very loose date with her mother and probably drugged her mother and then raped her mother, according to Courtney Love. And whether or not she was brought through that MK Ultra program, which I think the Grateful Dead were either consciously or unconsciously being driven by. Those kinds of biological and spiritual roots as to how somebody comes into the world, I think plays a large role on how their life imprint plays out.
Mm-hmm.
So she was born out of a out of somebody taking another man's seed against her will, right? And so that in and of itself, I mean, look, there are a number of births that are a byproduct of something like that. And in many cases, people turn out to be functional and even contributing citizens to society. But on the other hand, it's not the most ideal in terms of conception conditions, particularly if there's drugs involved, and I'm sure there were at the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and also other things there too, especially if there's even spiritual things involved. I mean, for the first thing you think about is like Rosemary's Baby, or last night we even had an End of Days reference in the show. But it's you can just tell something is off, and you just wonder how many of those stories are out there that'll never be really dug into again or relitigated. I don't know how Seattle, wherever the hell the police department that handled the case, was it Seattle? I forget. I believe,
Yeah, I believe it
they
was
said that they're
Seattle.
not.
It was King County, which is where Seattle is. So that would have fallen under the auspices of the King County Sheriff's Department.
Yeah, and they said they're not touching it. They said they're not touching it, at least for now, because this is not the first time that somebody has examined all of the evidence and come to the conclusion that the suicide determination is less likely than the foul play determination. But here we are still, and maybe it turns a couple of extra heads, but I think everybody knows what's going on, and it's just a shame. Just a shame that justice hasn't been done on that front. But going to something else that's a little bit also even more. I just want to get your general thoughts on the last. We haven't spoken since last June in an official capacity. We text from time to time and keep up with each other. But how have you been experiencing and seeing the new year? I mean, we're having one hell of a month this month with the latest tranche of the Epstein stuff, and that has given people the kind of details they've been waiting for a long time. It's caused a lot of confusion, a lot of uproar. People would say not enough uproar. But outside of that, definitely is a world that is in flux. So what are you taking away from all of this past 5-6 weeks?
Well, I feel like we're in a major period of transition. I mean, if you just look at it from like the political perspective, we're coming up on the midterms. Even though they're in November, I mean, there's signs, campaigning, there's a lot of money changing hands, radio, TV, internet spots are all being booked. And this is really the midterms are a transition period in and of themselves, right? Because it can theoretically tilt which way the House and the Senate goes, and then there's a lot of local races and governors, and there's a lot of changing of chairs that's happening. So the district that I live in here in Kerrville, Texas, our representative is Chip Roy, who has not been the most popular person in the Trump administration. And Chip Roy is not running for his office. And there's a really good chance that if he ran for office, that he would more than likely win it. The guy that is jockeying for his position is a former Major League Baseball player by the name of Mark Teixeira,
Oh yeah.
who played for the Yankees and the Texas Rangers, and he's got the look. He's got kind of the square jaw, and he wears the right shirts, and he's a Texan, and he's got the pro Trump backing. I'd be very surprised if he didn't win. But then you take Chip Roy, and he's actually running for Attorney General here in the state of Texas, and then you have the Attorney General Ken Paxton, or Ken Paxton is the Secretary of no, Ken Paxton is the Attorney General, and he's running against John Cornyn, who is running for re-election in the Senate seat. So there's a lot of changing musical chairs that are going on. And you'll find this also in other states and other districts where people are switching from going from, say, a senatorial position into a gubernatorial or a state position and vice versa. So there's a lot of transition going on from that level. And then the midterms themselves have just transition written all over them. And it feels like we're in this time where, and maybe people have been feeling this way for a while, but it just feels like there's not a lot of steady ground beneath our feet. I know that you and I were texting earlier today, and I don't know if you wanted to talk about the El Paso airport being grounded for a while, right?
I heard about that. You and I didn't talk about that, but I heard about that, and I don't know what the hell had happened there. If you want to talk about that for a second, go ahead. And then what I would really love to do is I'd love to read you an astro forecast that a friend of mine had sent me. I hadn't got one of these in an email in a while. I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to throw it your way to get not only your thoughts on that, because it widens the scope out to the world, not just the United States, but out to the EU and the UK.
Yeah.
And then also, I want to hear about the eclipse in Antarctica. So yeah, first tell me about El Paso, because I only saw headlines.
Yes, there's been a lot of conflicting reports. Initially, they shut down the entire airport. And the El Paso airport's a pretty major hub because it connects flights basically, like it's kind of in the middle of the country. So you would have like El Paso, and then you have Denver, and to some extent Albuquerque. And so those airports are hubs for connecting flights that go further west to California, San Diego, or the Pacific Northwest. So it's a pretty important airport. It also has a lot of air traffic to Mexico from Texas. So if you wanted to travel really cheaply to Mexico, flying out of El Paso is pretty cheap. So there was this word that they were going to shut down the airport for 10 days. Like that's a huge roadblock in terms of people, commerce, because of course they transport goods via planes as well. And it got people really spooked. Like, what's going on here? Why are they shutting down the El Paso airport, the airspace over the El Paso airport for
Yeah.
10 days? And so there's a couple of theories that were floating around the internet. Some sort of conflict with the drug cartels.
Okay, hold on, Robert, because
Yeah.
we lost you for a second there. So
Am I still here?
yeah, we just lost you for a second. So go back. You said there was a couple of theories that were floating around the internet, and then boom, that's when we lost you. So go start from the beginning. Do you hear me? That's bad connection. I can see it. Got red bars, red connection bars. It's never a good thing. But hold on, I hear him again.
Okay, am I back?
Yeah, you're back. Let's see what we can get out of this run here. Okay, so you're talking about a couple of theories. The first one was about cartel activity near the border. What was it?
Yeah, so of course this would have to do with the cartels, obviously. And one of the rumors is that the cartels had actually sent drones over the border, and that's why they wanted to secure the space. If you know anything about the cartels and what their basic philosophy is with Americans, is that they don't want to mess around with Americans. Because if something happens to an American, then the heat is really on them. And this comes from the cartels themselves. So my sense is that this is probably more of a preemptive move on the part of the United States. Like we just saw what happened with Maduro. Today is the birthday of Manuel Noriega, who's kind of like Maduro number one, where they extracted him from Panama. And I think it was probably a test run. That's my sense. How it would go over, how it would affect air traffic, how it would affect the public in general. So I think that they floated this. They probably shut down the airspace for a brief period of time and just wanted to get real-time feedback and metrics just to see how this thing would go down in case they did have to shut down that airport. And it's one of these things where we just don't really feel like there's a lot of ground beneath our feet because, what I call the event canon just keeps changing rapidly. And there's something new, like almost every other day or every third day.
Yeah.
And, it keeps us spinning and it keeps us distracted. And of course, there's things going on behind the scenes that sometimes we're aware of and sometimes we don't know about. But just in general, this is going to be a pattern for us for the next 3 years. And people need to be able to get used to this idea of chaos. And there's going to be a lot of rumors. And some of these rumors will flesh out, and we'll be able to, make some sense of them, and be able to navigate reality perhaps a little easier. And some of them won't flesh out, and people have to be really careful with things like AI, because AI can lead us astray. And even some of the Epstein stuff, I think we have to be really, really careful with.
I
So,
agree
yeah,
with
man.
you. I agree with you on that. And even individually, it comes down to it too individually. It's a lot harder when you're plugged in to remind yourself, but you have to keep your attention and your excitement where it needs to be, and to not dread each day, because what happens, it's very easy for people who are interested in the things that we're interested in, the fate of humanity, where we came from, where we're going, things like that, where you're dialed into reading the news in between the lines of print and not the actual lines of print themselves, where you actually you have to use distrust, has to be something that you use as a tool, but also don't allow the tool to completely take you over. And because we all live in that world, it's very easy for an individual person to go to bed at night not only thinking about the things they have to do the next morning just for the sake of keeping the house up or going to work and all that stuff, but it almost feels like you are carrying extra baggage for gigantic problems that you really have no way of individually, as an individual, impacting. That, you can talk to people, you can get yourself through it, you can prepare, you make contingency plans for you as an individual if the way the world is going really does start impacting you a little bit more severely. How do we get out of Dodge? Who's on our contact list if the phones go out? Things like that. I think a lot more people carry around undiagnosed stress that all comes from problems that they can't actually do anything about. But because of the way that we consume information every day, we almost feel like it's our responsibility to at least keep consuming it for some reason. Maybe that's the best way that we can help, by just knowing the latest. And it really, it sends you to sleep at night, sometimes on the edge for no damn reason. And I want to give you something. Here's an astro forecast from my buddy Mike. This came in, he said this, and I haven't gotten one of these in a while. And I don't know what kind of astrology or what kind of charts he pays attention to. He sent me this. He said, Frank, a unique planetary conjunction lasting all this year last happened in 1989. The year communism collapsed under its own financial failure. Russia, Poland, the Baltics, East Germany, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria. The collapse resulted in them becoming free and prosperous. Now it will be the U.S., the EU, the UK network that will collapse. So what is this unique planetary conjunction that's lasting all this year? That last happened in 1989, and do you feel that I have often said the U.S. and NATO are the new Soviet Union, in the way that they posture themselves, the way that they're always expanding. They are the expansionist party out there. They're run by psychopaths. Not that I want to live in Russia or anything like that, but I just feel like the whole NATO versus Russia Cold War thing is just it's ridiculous. It's played out. Russia provides so much energy to the countries that are in an alliance with each other to protect them from the people who are giving them their energy. It makes no sense, but they're always the boogeyman. And I just feel like the U.S. and NATO are definitely the Soviet Union this time around. But what do you think about that whole 1989 planetary conjunction fall of the communist states, the communist bloc analogy?
Yeah, let me just hopefully this won't screw up our interconnect connection too much. But I want to go back and I want to look at 1989, and so I can locate what your friend Mike is referring to. Give me 1 second here. Hold on, there we go. Hold on, let's see.
And then, of course, would love to get a little bit on Antarctica since we're dealing with
the Antarctica thing is worth talking about because this is going to be the first eclipse of the eclipse season. So your friend, I believe, if I'm not mistaken here, is referring to the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which took place in 1989. And the Saturn-Neptune conjunction was in the sign of Capricorn. And we have the Saturn-Neptune conjunction this year, and it's in the sign of Aries. So there's a bit of a difference, and the difference is by degree. So when Saturn, we'll go back to January 1989, went into Capricorn, it was at 5 degrees, and Neptune had some momentum. It's a slow-moving outer planet. Saturn moves faster. So by the time Saturn moves into Capricorn, Neptune is in Capricorn at 9 degrees. And so they sort of play tag with each other, sort of celestial tag for a large part of that year, including the retrogrades with Saturn. So this is what your friend Mike is referring to. And what's interesting about that time is if you follow what was happening with the Soviet Union, what you were seeing, and even to some extent China, you were seeing the penetration of American corporations uh, proliferating the Soviet. And when I say American corporations, I'm talking about like businesses like McDonald's, right? So you were having like fast food restaurants showing up in the Soviet Union. And those fast food restaurants, even though they sound really mundane on the surface, they're actually quite important because it imports American culture. And there was this guy named William Irwin Thompson, who was a really interesting theorist and futurist back in the 80s and 90s. And he talked about America as this cultural enzyme. And like, for instance, with the Vietnam War, we go into Vietnam and we wage war in Vietnam, and we become this cultural enzyme. And as a result of that, we get Vietnamese culture, Vietnamese food. We get all these interesting things that wouldn't have happened had we not gone to war in Vietnam. And that's been America's role sort of on the world stage, going into these other cultures and sort of breaking them down. And so that's what was happening at a corporate and a cultural level. And you put that together with the Soviet Union overspending in Afghanistan in a long drawn out war, and it was their time to go. And you can see with Saturn and Neptune, it is the collapse of structures. Like Neptune is all about dissolve, and Saturn represents things like the hierarchy and to some extent the oligarchy, but more hierarchy and social structures. So yeah, of course, you deploy these corporate cultural enzymes. They get into Russia. I think somewhere around that time, Elton John or Billy Joel are starting to perform in the Soviet Union. These things are starting to break down, right? They're like these enzymes, and so you have these other factors that are involved, and they just can't keep it up. Financially, the country is going to hell in a handbasket, so they have to break it up, right? And so what we have here in this country is the Saturn Neptune conjunction. Now they enter Aries together at the exact same time, which is like, in the coming week, right? And I can see where your friend would make this connection between that happening in the former Soviet Union and this happening in this country. Now, if you just look at the influence, and I don't think the Soviet Union ever really died. Like, I just think it got reformatted and had to cut off a lot of their vassal states, which were bleeding them as well. But I feel like a lot of the same political and power structures are still running Russia, and you have, Putin, former KGB agent, and whoever he is now. This guy hasn't aged a fucking year since, I don't know, like the last 20 years. Uh, so you could make the case that with political um, agency, like socialism or liberalism or wokeism or progressivism, that these are all part of the same enzymatic tools that were deployed by the Soviet Union, in as much as we deployed sort of the corporate capitalist enzymatic tools to break them down. And so as a result of these things being in our system for an extended period of time, they've broken down the American system, and you can see it. It's broken from Minneapolis to California to New York City, voting in a socialist mayor, and even like the symbolism or the color of Aries is red. And when you think of the Soviet Union, that's the primary color you think of. So I think it's a really interesting juxtaposition. And the other thing is that when you add Neptune at zero Aries is the same degree as when the Civil War started. And then every time we've had Saturn in Aries, we've had violence on the streets. In America, one of the most bloody times in America was 1968 when Saturn was in Aries. So you add all that up together, and I think that there's a case to be made for what your friend sent you in that email.
So from there, from the U.S. EU front versus Russia and all that other stuff, we know that there's things going on, but we are working with limited time now tonight. I do want to go from there down to the supposed South Pole, eclipse in Antarctica, and why this has drawn your attention to it, and what you think it might mean for this year that we are now smack dab in the middle of.
Well, what's interesting about astrology is that when you have a major event, whether it's planets changing signs or even something like an eclipse, there's a foreshadowing of what's going to take place. And they call it like the shadow of the eclipse, right? Like there's about a week and a half or to 2 weeks before, a week and a half to 2 weeks after. And I'm sure you ran across this story. There was a small little team that took a video camera down to Antarctica and was going to use Starlink to begin to stream from Antarctica. And it didn't take whoever was flying the helicopters or the Zodiac boats very long to locate them and essentially confiscate their equipment and send them back off to Tierra del Fuego or wherever it is they were going to put them. Besides Antarctica, it's highly, highly guarded, that place.
It's so strange.
And yeah, and we have this eclipse now, which is taking place there. The only other place you'll be able to see it is like from parts of South Africa and maybe Zambia and Zimbabwe. There's a little bit sort of coming up into that part of the world. And, eclipses and their locations they're important. When we went through these American eclipses and, the stuff that was happening, like we went through this eclipse here in Texas for two eclipse seasons, one in October and the other in October of 2023 and April of 2024. And, fast forward, and we have a major flood here in Kerrville, Texas, which claimed close to 150 lives, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of damage. Is it attributable to the eclipse? I mean, it will go down historically as a place that was the center of the eclipse, and then not like right after the eclipse, but not long after, we have this devastating flood that takes place here, like biblical proportions. So, with that in mind, what could we expect from Antarctica and what begins? And I think we're starting to, maybe hear a few things about Antarctica, and it would be something that I would keep my eye on, because this eclipse is like the first eclipse in these new series of eclipses that basically go from Aquarius, Pisces, Virgo, Leo, all the way into Aquarius, Leo. So it's the first one. And what's interesting about this eclipse is that it happens right at the final degree of Aquarius. And there's a new moon on this eclipse also in Pisces. And this is when, bringing up what your friend Mike brought up, this is when Saturn and Neptune are now in alignment with Aries. So I think this eclipse in general is pretty auspicious. And on my show on Sunday night, I looked at the astrological chart for Iran, and depending upon what chart you're looking at, this Saturn Neptune eclipse hits right on what we call the Celli, or the MC of Iran. That's the home. Like, that is the home of Iran. So this Saturn Neptune eclipse is happening bang on Iran, and then there's this new moon, and I'm like, what are we really dealing with here? Are we looking at something that goes kinetic in 8 days? Quite possibly. And then when you think about Antarctica, it's not just this kind of mysterious place, but it's also this place where theoretically the Nazis wound up in the Thule Society, and this advanced civilization that lives over the ice wall, which may be a lot more tropical than people are led to believe. And is that going to be a factor moving forward over the course of the next 3 years? Are we going to have more unveiled? Because what's interesting about eclipses is that it presents a space that's occulted, right? Like, there's a darkness that falls over that place. And in a lot of cases, that darkness or that occultation is revelatory, that things emerge from it in ways that may not emerge otherwise. So I think it's a really interesting eclipse degree wise. It's on the new moon, and we have this aspect that your friend was talking about, albeit in the sign of Aries, and Saturn and Neptune really landing like spot on Iran, and where Iran literally lives. So there you go.
Well, there you go. I mean, whenever Antarctica is on the playing board, I mean, I always perk up, especially when it's. I mean, I bring you in to talk to you about things like this because I don't really pay attention or notice what alignments are coming into being or that or anything. But when you hear stories about people once again going down there to the South Pole and just having everything, I don't know. It's like the Godfather at the wedding in the beginning when Barzini takes orders the camera taken, broken apart, and thrown away. I just I don't understand that at all. It's one thing to say, well, here's the continent of Antarctica, and this is going to be a neutral space, and it's a nature preservation or anything else like that. But it's aside from the outskirts, especially at certain parts of the year, like times like now where there's actually some green areas of Antarctica that we can see.
Right.
It's a wasteland, and you wonder why. Why is this guarded with such incredible force and non-negotiable force? And so I love, as far as disclosure movements go, I think a lot of people would love to see a little bit of moving, shaking down there as well. Hey, Robert, there's some questions for you in the chat room. Some people wants to know when your birthday is.
So my birthday is the 22nd of September, and I was born in the year of our Lord, 1960.
1960. Admiral Byrd, people are talking about Admiral Byrd, spoke about Antarctica. He said there's a grassland and open plains, no ice or snow. Yeah,
Yep.
I've heard about that. I've heard about, extinct animals, woolly mammoth, dinosaurs, and then, of course, flying saucers with swastikas on it. I've heard all that stuff, too, but I never know what's just fun fan fiction or the real deal.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly shrouded in mystery, and any place that's guarded with that high level of security, uh, you add those two things together, and it just creates more curiosity and what's really going on there, and what's beyond the ice wall. And then our imagination begins to fill in the blanks, and maybe that's more interesting than what's actually there. But why would they put up such stiff resistance from anybody going down there and actually exploring it, and not from the deck of a boat that's passing by and waving at penguins, right? Like, let's just that's tourist stuff.
Got you.
Yeah.
And one last question I have for you. We have to do a lot more check-ins this year. Is there anything that you've ever looked into as far as pole shifts? Now, some people would say whether it is just a geomagnetic shifting of the poles, or there's something that's internal in the Earth, some kind of shifting of internal components of the Earth, the core, or a geophysical shift, which of course would be quick and destructive. There are people from all persuasions that come at this, and I just wonder where you are, because of course that would a lot of that has to do if you're a heliocentric model person. A lot of that has to do with the activity of the sun. It could be triggered by solar activity, but I don't know if there's anything that you would see as cyclical about that as well.
I tend to look at things more from a cultural, uh, psychological, meta perspective. Like we are experiencing a pole shift in our culture, and we have been for, I'd say, the last 20 years, right? If you just look at America that existed in the 1980s up through the 1990s, like, this is a completely different place, and the values are different. The mores and the morals are different. People's sense of a true north, right? There used to be like a true kind of moral and philosophical north, and that's gone south.
Yes, the Mighty Ducks movies. That was it for us. D2 Mighty Ducks. It was just, USA. Let's go play some hockey. And everybody played hockey, black, white. It was great. Knuckle pucks. And that's all gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wasn't Jussie Smollett one of the Mighty Ducks?
No, don't tell me that.
I think he was. I think Jussie was a Mighty Duck. It's all his fault. He's the one. He flipped the switch from the pull switch.
No, don't do that to me. Get the fuck out of here. Wait, hold on. He began. No. Jussie Smollett is an American actor, filmmaker, and singer. He began a career as a child actor in 1991, debuting in The Mighty Ducks. The first one? He's in the first one? Ugh. I didn't even know. There you go. You know what?
There you go.
I watched mostly D2. D2 is so much. Mighty
You're
Ducks,
a D2 guy.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where I believe that the sequel's better than the original. Terminator 2 obviously completely dwarfs Terminator 1. So, damn. Well, you just kind of put a dent in my night, but go ahead, keep going.
That's okay. I mean, I tend to see these things as metaphorical. We've gone through a pole shift. I mean, just look at the Super Bowl on Sunday. Like 25 years ago, that doesn't happen. And, whatever you think of Bad Bunny and his style of music, it's just that it doesn't happen. You've got somebody who is performing who actually sings in, the King's English or the Queen's English, right? Or variation thereof. And this is like completely in Spanish. And then you go through and you look at the lyrics. And today on my show, I took the lyrics and I put them through some AI voices and played them on my show. And man, they're really raunchy. Like this is raunchy stuff. And really it's just like bad songwriting too. So you just look around, right? We've gone through this pole shift. And so, mountains and mountain ranges and oceans and rivers didn't split open and start flowing backwards, but the culture went backwards. And we're
That's a
living in
great
a
point.
very, very different kind of place and time. So that's how I view it.
You know what? I like it's a really really it's a great point. It really is. And here's how we'll leave off tonight. There is a little bit of a cultural thing I'm going to be jumping into tonight. It has a little bit to do with how people prepare their coffee and other weird ways that they prepare food that might be seen as unconventional and maybe to some repulsive. So I got this old clip from a newspaper. It's called the World's News newspaper, June 13th, 1942. And here's what popped up here. This is what I posted on the Instagram today. People who drink their black coffee unsweetened are sometimes very superior about it. Why is that? Why is it a far finer thing to take it in the nude, so to speak, than with sugar, lemon, or cream? Now, sugar and cream and sugar in your coffee would not have really turned that many heads, but when we saw lemon, I said, lemon in your coffee. And then, so I wanted to open this up to you to ask you about what is being called coffee nudists, coffee nudism, where it is black and hot or nothing at all. And then, of course, if you have any kind of unconventional food habits that you can lead people with.
So I'm generally a black coffee guy.
Okay.
And I trained myself to like black coffee. And the reason why I drink it mostly black is because Edgar Casey says that when you add, he uses the word milk. I'm not sure if it's cream, but when you add milk and coffee together and drink it, it creates a leather-like substance in your stomach. So black coffee is actually better for you, digestively speaking. And he says to drink coffee on an empty stomach and not combine it with food. So that's like double nude. But every now and then I have been known to put a little cream and some like sugar-free fancy syrup every now and then if it's a really cold morning and I want something comforting, I'll go in that direction. But I'd say 90% of the time I drink black coffee. And as far as weird food stuff goes, I'm not really sure if I've got anything that's really, really weird. Although when I was a kid, I was really into taking my cream corn and putting it on my mashed potatoes
Well, that's
and then
not bad.
mixing them up. Yeah, I don't have any real weird, like I was watching these British kids eat American food and they were sticking their French fries in milkshakes. And have you ever done that? Have you ever stuck a
Yes. And it is, it's not something that I crave, But especially Frosties from Wendy's, taking a
That's what they were talking about. It was the French fry with the frosty from Wendy's.
yeah, it's got to be a hot, piping hot, crispy French fry, and I don't know what it is. You know what? There's something. Hold on. It was something about the palate, how the palate interacts, like with hunger signals and everything else. I remember my buddy Jay was telling us about this, where if you were having a lot of sweet things, like for example, if you were like really taking down a frosty or something like that, and you start becoming a little bit tired with the amount you're taking down, if you were to eat a little something salty and savory, it would almost like clean your palate and recharge you to go back and have some more shake. So there's something about salty and sweet that goes together that can actually fuel each other. And I don't know if it's just the piping hot nature of the fry and a little bit of the creamy chill of the frosty, but people like that, and I've tried it before, and I was not off put off by it. I haven't been on like I'm fiending for it or anything else like that, but I've tried it. It's not that bad.
I'm gonna have to try it. If you've tried it, you like it, and these guys went gaga over it, I'm gonna go there.
It's like gaga. Here, I'll tell you. Here's another one. Like our buddy Libs of Reddit said, this goes all the way back to my childhood. Cottage cheese or dill pickles as a topper to pizza. I can see how the dill pickle might work because you can put cherry peppers on things. You can. I can understand that. But the cottage cheese, I don't know. The cottage cheese has a very specific taste that if you put a dollop of that that's not like putting a dollop of ricotta cheese on a pizza and making it into a white pizza. The cottage cheese, I don't know how I would do with that.
I would try it. I would try. I would try. I don't like tomatoes. So as long as it didn't have tomatoes or cucumbers, I'm game. I would try it.
Okay.
So I would try that pickled cottage cheese.
Then what about this? This is the last one I'll ask you. This came in from my buddy Mike Baldwin. He's a comedian. And he responded 5 hours ago. It's another cottage cheese one, but listen, I like cottage cheese and baked beans together, not totally mixed together, but just next to each other so I can get a little bit of each in every bite. Cottage cheese and baked beans.
Man, there goes the neighborhood.
I'm telling you so, but this is what I wanted to get out of people because I know that people have just unconventional things that they do to conventional foods or anything else like that I wanted to know about them. Damn it.
That's pretty unconventional. I like ketchup on my macaroni and cheese.
Okay.
Is that weird?
I don't know. Maybe, but I don't know. The cheese and ketchup, it's not weird because you've chili cheese dogs, whatever the hell else that can go together fine. Yeah, do cheeseburgers and ketchup, whatever. It's the pasta element. I don't know. I guess it's not too offensive.
It's kind of like a tomato sauce with the pasta.
Don't go there. Don't go there. No, you're crossing. No, don't go there. I've seen people do the whole ketchup and spaghetti thing, and I just that is.
I wouldn't do that. I would not go that far.
Okay,
but there's something about ketchup and cottage cheese, man. It works. Now you have to get the right. You have to get the right mix. Like too much ketchup, it doesn't work, right? But you get the right mix, and it kind of takes the cottage cheese to another level.
Someone in the chat room, Fran Santelli.
Oh, yeah, Fran. Hi, Fran.
Well, Fran wants to know, how do you not like tomatoes and cucumbers, like them together? Like, for example, a tomato salad with cucumbers diced in there with some red onions and whatever the hell else. I mean, is that something that you would reject because of the tomato?
Yeah, I would reject. So here's the weird thing about like when I was a kid, I actually ate tomatoes, but somewhere along the way, I convinced myself that I didn't like them. And now it's just become like a myth or a story that just lives on in my head that to this day I just get things without tomatoes. Although I will have the ketchup, which is tomatoes, which doesn't really make a lot of sense, but you don't get the chunk and the seed. The cucumber thing is completely different. I think cucumbers are like the kudzu of vegetables. They're invasive. If you have a cucumber on something, you could take the cucumber off, and that thing will have the flavor of the cucumber on it.
Yeah.
Right? You can't get rid of it. So I find cucumbers to just be a little like if I was in the desert and I had to live on cucumbers and watermelon, I'd probably die because I don't like either of them. So these two foods that are filled with water would keep you alive. I'd probably be eating sand. No,
Yeah.
I'd eat them, but I'd have to force myself
You'd
to
have
eat
to get
them.
through it. You have to get through
I'd
it.
have to get through it. Yeah.
Blunt Man, here's a couple people from the live chat. I'll be reading the general chat in a little bit. But cottage cheese and peaches, oh, that's fantastic. I do like cottage cheese. I just didn't know how. I didn't. It's interesting how people have applied it. I like cottage cheese. It's actually a really great way of getting some good protein into the extra. A cup of cottage cheese, you're like 20 grams of protein. Anyway, I don't like cucumbers. Pickles are okay. So they like pickling the cucumber.
I'm with the pickle, but there's a line because sometimes they don't pickle the cucumber enough, right? You know what I'm talking about. You get those sneaky little cucumbers. They're masquerading as pickles, but they're not really pickles. You're like, you guys are screwing me over here.
No, I'm with you. Sweet pickles are sweet pickles are a scam.
Yes, I agree.
Sweet pickles
I
are
agree.
a scam. Like this is not a pickle. Should be sour. I like to see how sour you can get. So there's
Sour and garlic. Bring it on. That's the pickle.
Robert, I hope that we have more talks like this year. I think this is how the world heals, to be honest. And I
agree. A little more normalcy, and we'll be fine.
tell everybody where they can listen to you on a normal basis.
YouTube. I do astrology on the Astro Weather. That's on my 11th House channel, and then I do more of a kind of a newsy commentary thing over on Rumble called 15 Minutes of Flame. That's OV. And robertphoenix.com, which is my website. And if you're interested in my services as an astrologer, you can go there.
He's a wonderful guy to talk to. He's become a really great friend of this show and of mine in particular. And I can't wait for the day we get to hang out with each other in person. I know that's going to be coming soon.
I'm sorry about last time, man, but my body just was not cooperating.
Dude, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. I'm glad that we're talking here and that you're in good working order. And I have robertphoenix.com in the episode description. So hopefully people click through, find you, and watch some streams and interact in the chat rooms and become friends as well. Have a good one, my good man.
Thanks, Frank. Always a pleasure.
Always. There goes Robert Phoenix, guys and gals. So now that we have kind of juiced ourselves up for this talk, I want to get it. I want to put it out there. I want to see what's going on. So I'm going to be putting this out to you guys and gals to call in. I'm going to be reading what you guys have sent in to me because we've only nicked the surface here. But in the meantime, I just want to remind you guys that this Friday night at 9 p.m., Friday the 13th, we are going to be watching the 2011 cult classic Drive. You're going to love this movie. You're going to get so many more internet references when you watch this movie. It's great. It's well written. It's a good, I believe, stand-up male protagonist that gets overlooked because he's a little bit more of like a Sigma type. But you're going to like it, and this is going to be it's going to be a good time. And of course, you can punch your ticket to the film club, to the book club, and all that to watch these movies with us live on a private stream. If you become a sponsor of the show, quitefrankly.tv/sponsor, or you can become a YouTube member, wherever the hell it is. I post it to all the members only sections. Patreon and Subscribe Star are wonderful places to go because if you subscribe for $10 or more, like if you get into a postcard or a monthly Polaroid club, or if you become a pen pal of mine, $10 or more, and from this month onward until I say no, you're going to be getting a 20-year anniversary t-shirt on the air for 20 years. This shirt was designed by Shane B. Quite frankly, I hate this show. It's the only way that you can get it. is if you are a new sponsor, $10 and over. And if you're a current sponsor, you can get in touch with me, and we're going to be working out some wholesale prices for you guys too. That's all I wanted to say. It's been 20 years, and I would love to kick off the next 20 years with you guys. And if you love the show, if you enjoyed the show, then support it, because even $5 a month goes a huge way, and you get so much in return. Anyway, let's go to the Super Chats. Jay Britt says, another stellar show with Robert Phoenix. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Stove as well. Ashley Snow, thank you. These are all people who are now in the raffle. Huge raffle for tomorrow. Silver, a free bag of Keto Brainz, the field guide from Jane Barlow. I'm going to add something else tomorrow, too. All it takes is one Super Chat, and you can leave one even when we're off air. Quite frankly, superchat.com. Shotzi says, I'm in it for the silver. Thank you. And Dragon Sage, that was from last night, but thank you again. Waltzy V, come on, Mrs. Barlow, with that silver lining. I bet she didn't put sugar in coffee. No, probably not. Maybe. Who knows? Jay Semo, how much money has the CIA wasted over the decades? Great shows this week. Thank you so much. Thank you. Haywood says, if you give me that book, I promise to learn how to read. You know what? If it's going to get you to learn how to read, Haywood, then that would be great. That would be wonderful. Please, let's get into our main topic now, and you guys can call in. What's the number? That's right. That's right. It's 914-200-0269. 914-200-0269. What is the topic? The topic is, do you have any unconventional food habits? And in particular, are you a coffee nudist? And even here in 1943, they're saying people who drink their coffee black and unsweetened are sometimes very superior about it. What is it with you snooty ass coffee superiorists, supremacists, you coffee supremacist types? What's wrong with you guys? Can't you have a little fun from time to time? Never any fun? I like black coffee. I do. And I drink it hot. In the summertime, though, I drink black coffee iced by the gallon. Well, at least I wish it's by the gallon. At least one tall, iced down thermos of it every day. Just kicks ass. And of course, the Keto Brainz is in at least one, usually the first cup of the day. But still, let's see what people are saying. Lemon in coffee. What is that all about? See, now the lemon in coffee, here's the thing about that. That it doesn't make me go crazy with like, how can this be? It's not that offensive. I'm interested to give it a try, to be honest. I just don't know. Is it a squeeze of lemon? Is it like with tea? You know, I'm no stranger to having a stripe of lemon peel garnishing a shot of espresso whenever you go out to a restaurant, or you go to a friend or a family member's house who are very serious about how they serve their coffee or espresso. I mean, espresso usually comes with a little strip of lemon peel. You get a little zest in there. So, but as far as, wringing out a slice of lemon into a cup of coffee, I've never done that in my life. We're still old school ways of doing things. Now, as far as all other unconventional food habits, I remember like old school ways of preparing a snack or whatever. I learned from either reading, it's either a Hemingway novel or a F. Scott Fitzgerald novel. I forgot where the hell it was, that one of the characters made themselves or referenced a peanut butter and onion sandwich. And I said, what the hell? Peanut butter and onion sandwiches. So I had to go check it out. Some Depression era food. And yeah, I get the peanut butter and onion. So you got the bread, peanut butter, and just little rings of, white onions or something like that. And I tried it. I remember it. I was in my mother's kitchen years ago. and I just tried it out because she had all the ingredients, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I haven't gone back for it again. I haven't gone back for it. Just like the French fries and the milkshake. Every once in a while, if I remember to do it, if I have a milkshake, why not? But I won't just I won't think about it afterwards. And then there's other Depression era food like water pie. Did you guys ever? I never had a slice of water pie, but you should look into it. All of the crafty little ways that families in the United States, made dessert and other things during the Depression when they had a little bit less to spend. Water pie was one of them. And but we had, just for Super Bowl Sunday, my cousin Sherry brought over another Depression era dessert, a delicacy, at least a delicacy in our family, because our grandparents, who were all born in 1919 or so, they were making this stuff for us when we were kids, and they were icebox cakes. Now I'm pretty sure that many of you out there have had an icebox cake, and you've probably had it prepared in a number of different ways. But I love my grandfather's icebox cake, and it's essentially just lasagna. It's graham cracker lasagna, and I know some people will use ladyfingers or something like that. But it was just alternating layers of graham crackers and chocolate pudding. Graham cracker, chocolate pudding. Graham cracker, chocolate pudding. And it just stacks up like lasagna. You get it in your ice box, or, firm it up in the refrigerator, give it enough time so it firms up, and then you just take out your spatula and you cut out squares, and it holds up like lasagna. It's so good. It's so good. But that's not weird. That's not a weird thing. That's not a weird thing. Here are some replies that we got. So we got Mike Baldwin with his cottage cheese and baked beans. Let me make sure that the phones are on, because last time I told people to call in and I didn't turn the phones on. Okay, yeah, now they're on. Okay, good. Now they're on. I don't know who I was missing before, but I won't miss you now. Let's see here. Luther Gentinaire says, not really that weird, but mozzarella with balsamic vinegar, salt, and pepper for breakfast. That's not that weird. That's not that weird. That's essentially just like an appetizer. An appetizer for dinner, just up front, and I'm fine with it. I don't care. I'll have some of that. Marie says, to be honest, lemonade with a shot of certain varieties of espresso is amazing. I'm down with you on that. Portrush, the coffee house that helped create such a wonderful homemade experience for people who came here for the Jamboree back in July in September. The first thing I ever had there was an espresso lemonade. I said, oh man, I got to try out. I got to see what the hell's going on with that. And it kind of it separates itself. And I forgot where the espresso settled, if it was on the bottom or if it separated toward the top. But I remember it might be on the bottom, because I remember, getting the straw down there and getting a lot of espresso at first. And then once all that was just consumed, I was left with this incredibly tangy, ever so sweet lemonade finish. And it is good. If you're able to find a way to put that together, Marie's on top of that one. That's good. Morgie says, I put black pepper in my cottage cheese. I don't know if this is unconventional. I've never done it before, but it doesn't sound too offensive. My mother is in those comment sections. She put a vomit emoji. I don't know what made her want to vomit. Maybe it's the comments or just the lemon in coffee. I can drink coffee black or with cream, whatever. Lemon goes in tea, not coffee. I like applesauce with my pork chops, but that's everyone, right? Yes. And I haven't had pork chops in a long time. My mother used to make shake and bake pork chops, and it would usually be served with applesauce and white rice, or applesauce and corn. And I loved it. If it was real fancy, then we had a little mashed potatoes too. And that's when you put the corn on top of the mashed potatoes and you get to just like beat them into the mashed potatoes with the fork, press them into the mashed potatoes. And then you can just, remove forks full. And I like that. So the creamed corn thing that Robert was talking about, I haven't gone that far, but definitely corn and mashed potatoes. 267, you're on the air. Who's this?
This is RJ.
Hey, RJ, what's good?
Not much. Hey, we're still talking about food, right? And coffee?
Indeed.
Okay. On Instagram, and I'm a coffee nudist, I guess. I'm a supremacist. I'm only black.
Okay.
And I only have like 2 or 3 different ways that I fix it. And I'm really particular about it. Not that I won't grab something out of a 7-Eleven and just be happy for any coffee. That's what gives you the supremacy. You'll drink any coffee. So I see this thing on Instagram where a guy's mixing an egg with some sugar. And apparently it's like an Italian thing.
Yep.
Is it a real thing? Because people have been asking me to do it. And I'm like, I don't know. It's on the Instagram. This could be a joke on all of us.
Yes.
It's a real thing.
Yes. Yeah, it's called Zabaglione, I believe it's called. And it is
okay.
it is a what you do is you don't take the whole egg. I mean, some people actually put the whole egg into coffee, but
right, you separate, right?
This particular thing, you put a single yolk into the cup, and then I believe it's about a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons of sugar, and you spend about a couple of minutes really whipping it up into this really creamy, awesome consistency between the yolk and the sugar, and then you mix it. You add a little bit of Marsala wine.
Oh, whoa! I didn't see that.
Oh yes, it makes your cheeks nice and rosy. You get a little bit, just a little bit, like I would say, like half a shot of Marsala wine.
A splash.
Yeah, no, a little bit more than a splash.
Okay.
And then you put that, and then you pour the coffee into the rest of it. And I'll tell you, man, it's a nice day. I wasn't able to have any after I was out there removing snow this past storm, but next time I have a big snowstorm, I think that'd be a nice thing to come inside and get warm to.
I'm doing it. I'm going to do it.
Good, try it. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna try to find you a really good. I'm gonna show this to you right now. I'm gonna go find a really good video because I know a guy on Instagram who made a wonderful video. I know a guy on Instagram, and he made a wonderful video on this. So I'm going to go and check that out, and I'll try to show it to you.
I appreciate you, man.
All right, brother. Well, anything else you want to leave us?
There's so much. I found you during, I guess the algorithm married us, and it was one of your more spicier rants that I first heard you way back in like 2020 or something. And I remember thinking to myself, thank God I found this podcast because I was fed up with everything.
Oh,
and you struck a nerve with me, and I was like, you know what? This is a soulmate. That was that. Been listening ever since. Me and my girl. We listen to you. We sometimes if we miss the show, we put you on and fall asleep to it, and it's awesome.
I love that. I love that because it really comes down to whether or not this show can become a companion, and I wanted to have a show that is more like a companion piece than
100%
than anything else, and because
100%.
That's it. The people who really get the show are the ones who like the segments like this when we're getting into a little bit more of food and a little bit more of memories and that you have to have those buffers. That I'm glad that this has become a little bit of therapy.
Listen, you've been a big help. You have no idea. I was hoping to get together with you during the jamboree, which I missed, but I'm not missing the next one. And give you a little bit more of the background of it. But like I said, you've no idea the effect you've had on me.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, and all the best to you and the lady. Please, thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And call in more often. I love these calls. I'm going to take another call as I look for this video I promised him. 817, who's this?
This is Cloud9.
I knew it was Cloud9. Cloud9. First of all, you have to get in touch with me on Discord still. Okay, I have something I have to ask you. But go ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear what you have on your mind.
Yeah. Just was going to say the food combinations. You said earlier tonight, peanut butter and onions. But try peanut butter and bacon, or bacon and maple syrup. Because I know like they sell at specific donut stores, like I think it's called like a maple bar, and they put one strip of bacon on top of a amber coated flavoring of it's like a cream filled donut essentially. But by itself, I mean bacon and peanut butter, of course, organic peanut butter, not some of that processed shit they sell on the shelves at Walmart. But like true, good, authentic, organic peanut butter with bacon and a little bit of maple syrup goes a long way in terms of like meal prep overall.
That sounds great, to be honest. I know that people went crazy with the bacon flavoring things. I saw people who had at one point. I've had friends who have gone out and purchased bacon flavored lip balms and stuff like that. But as far as bacon and maple goes, I mean that's like two peas in a pod. Those should be married together. Maple and bacon, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I was thinking more so like peanut butter would be like the odd one out. But maple syrup, yeah, typically, I mean, if you've like eaten pancakes and bacon right next to each other, it's like natural that like you're gonna have maple syrup on top of the bacon, unless you're like one of those OCD guys, like I don't know, Monk, where you have to separate the bacon. Well, I don't know. I think for me, I don't like food touching other pieces of food. Like if people like start mixing sauces like ketchup or mustard or like barbecue sauce or like soy sauce all together, it becomes like this hodgepodge mess and it's like toxic sludge. And I apply the same standard to food.
Yeah, Lauren is like that. I don't know if she's gotten much better, but I remember when we were first dating back in 2006, 2005, 2006. I remember my mother she bought one of those plates that have the different sections on the plates. They're almost like, categorized plates where nothing touches. And that was always Lauren's plate that she used when she was eating with us in those first years that we knew each other. I don't know. I think she has better space management on the plate now, and she's not as crazy. But if I I don't know if I move things around, if I move other things on the table, I can tease her that way. Where if I make the fork and the knife perpendicular to each other instead of parallel, she'll have to change it again, and the little things that'll drive her nuts. But I don't know how bad the food thing has gotten. She might be texting me soon to tell me.
Yeah. Well, I've also heard that like if you're so stringent upon your fork and your knife being so perfect and parallel, as well as like your food not touching other pieces of food, like it's got to be like fine dine restaurant all the time, even when you're at the house. It's sort of like this American Psycho Patrick Bateman tendency. So maybe I have psychopathy. Maybe me, Lauren, have some sort of psychopathy. But I'm going to throw the question back on you. Have you actually tried any unconventional food that you 2 years ago you would have tried, but maybe through happenstance you've discovered, oh wow, here's this magic silver bullet that actually most people don't know about?
No, I mean maybe I don't know. I'm trying to, I remember doing things. Stupid things like trying to figure out, see what horrible combinations might actually yield a surprisingly good result. And this was years ago that we did things like I think it was like not peanut butter and mustard, but maybe mustard and jelly. Just try a mustard and jelly sandwich. We probably put it on a cracker or something like that just to see how it was. And I remember the first bite, we were like trying to convince ourselves, like, that's not bad. And then it's just like, I couldn't, no. So I remember we were in that like experimental phase where we're just doing stupid shit when we were bored like that. But honey and cheese, I remember putting raspberry honey on mozzarella that I was I was a little stoned when I was doing it, but it just made it for good. And then it was actually honey, cheese, and potato bread. It was very, very fresh potato bread. And so I'm just like slicing cheese, a little bit of honey. And I mean, so cheese, bread, and honey was pretty good. But anything that I had been repulsed by and then like became a believer, I don't know, Lauren. I mean, I think Lauren is watching because she texted me here at 8:40 and she said, "Don't you dare put corn in my mashed potatoes." So
yeah, well, that's like more of a Thanksgiving situation where you might run into it because the cream corn and the mashed potatoes, like literally, you got casserole, mashed potatoes, all of your veggies right next to each other, so it's very easy to put like gravy on top of your mashed potatoes and then add cream corn to it. But you know, one thing I haven't tried that I'm actually willing to do, and I don't know if you would be as well, would be like, I've heard good things about like soy sauce and ketchup. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No, I have not heard of that, but I don't know if it's mixed up into a new kind of a sauce. Like if you take ketchup and mayonnaise and mix it up, it's essentially. I had a lot of friends that would mix up ketchup and mayonnaise and create some sort of like a pinkish dip for their fries and their burgers and stuff in high school. And at one time I was like kind of fascinated by it and slightly disgusted. At the same time, I knew it can't be that bad. You know, because most burgers come with a little bit of mayonnaise and ketchup at the same time mixed together, especially if you eat at McDonald's. That was always part of the equation. So ketchup and soy sauce, I haven't heard of it, but I can see it being decent if it's mixed up into its old new thing. Like, you know, when I realized that barbecue sauce was really just ketchup and brown mustard, I'm sorry, brown mustard, brown sugar. So there you go. Do the ketchup but ketchup and brown mustard would work fine though, right? I mean, if I took
brown sugar is what? Just sugar and molasses, right? So it's a mixture of a mixture.
I see. This is what I'm talking about. If there's more than enough time, like, you know, there are people out there who cringe when you put a stripe of ketchup on a hot dog. And I didn't know about this until later on in life. You know, even when I was, not later on in like a childhood, when I realized that some people are like we had this one guy in town. He's long since gone. He's dead now, but Moose. And this guy, everybody called him Moose, and he would serve moose dogs. And he set up on Midland Avenue, right around this place that used to be there called Dadaz, where my grandfather would show up, and, you know, he would, you know, run all of his numbers for the football and all that stuff. And around that corner over there is where Moose would set up with his hot dog stand. And he was kind of an ornery guy, but people loved his hot dogs. And you go there, and you had three choices. You had sauerkraut, you had relish, or you had mustard. If you were not local if you asked this guy for ketchup, and he would be disgusted with your presence if you asked for ketchup for a hot dog. Like, it was sauerkraut and mustard. That's it. Me, I love sauerkraut and mustard on hot dogs. I also like hot dogs that have ketchup. I like hot dogs that have a stripe of ketchup and a stripe of mustard. I like chili cheese dogs. I like all variations of in between. I mean, so I don't know. Some people are also very snobbish about what goes on a hot dog. It's like it's only a mustard, or you're a barbarian. So there's that too.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't take it to the extreme of like, oh, you have to be a purist on hot dogs, or like, you know, I've only mainly, like, if I ever drink coffee, I typically 80% of the time will do just straight up, nothing in it. But then oftentimes I'm just like looking at this lifeless, stale cup of coffee. And yeah, sometimes I'll say the Dale Cooper line from Twin Peaks and go, that's a damn fine cup of coffee. But other times I'm just like, yeah, but I need a little bit of something in it just to kind of get me going. Because it really does start to sting the teeth over a while if you don't really have like something sweetened. Because, hey, look, I'm fine with like a little bit of, yellow tint to the teeth if it's not like, really, really over dramatic. But I mean, if I'm going to stain the teeth, at least let it be sweet. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, and just kind of wrap it all up. I think the guy that you're mentioning about the hot dogs, I mean, wasn't that something out of like Dirty Harry, where he says nobody puts ketchup on a hot dog in like sudden impact?
I don't remember. I do not remember.
I'm pretty certain it's sudden impact, but you can fact check me on that.
Okay, well, listen, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for calling in, Cloud9.
Yeah, of course. Always glad to contribute.
All right,
Have a good one, Frank.
Wonderful contributions too. And you know what? It's 8:55, and I found the guy. I love this guy's account. I watch it all the time, but I gotta find where the hell the coffee Zabaglione is. Where the hell is it? When I see it, I'm gonna go nuts. I want you guys to see it, and I'm telling you, it's good. It's very good. It is maybe he pinned it to the top of his account because it's one of. Is this it? No. Damn it! It's Bocelli, New York, and it's a rustic Italian restaurant. I think it's in Staten Island. I've never been there, but I maybe we should go, Laura. Laura, maybe we should go. Hold on, I gotta find this because I love when he talks about this stuff. Come on, where's the coffee? Where is? It was back. I remember I had seen it back in the fall because we had the inspiration of trying it up at the cabin. You remember we went live from the kitchen one of those days when we were in the cabin, and it was me and Sal. We were putting it together. Well, it's got to be here. Hold on. We have the information online, blah, blah, blah. Oh, come on, man. What is this? We can do this on the flip side, but I really just wanted everybody. I wanted this to be on the record for the 7:00 show. Can't be. Maybe hold on. I'm going to search the account and I'm just going to put coffee in. How about that? And we'll see what the hell happens with there. Nothing? Of course not. Specials. Signatures. I guess not. Well, I'll look for it on the flip side. I'll have a little bit more time there. I like to keep things snappy. There's a few more things here. Let me just read a few more so we really get a little bit more out of this here. 219, you're on the air. What do you got?
I gotta take you off the speaker.
Hello?
Hear me?
Barely. So what do you have for us?
You got me?
I do. So what's your contribution?
All right. Liver sausage, pickle, and white bread.
All together?
Yeah, all together.
So when you say liver sausage, it's just that
pickle.
It's ground up liver and it's put in a sausage casing?
Liver sausage. Braunschweiger. What is it called? Braunschweiger.
Liver sausage. Liverwurst. I'm looking at it right now.
Liverwurst, yes.
Liverwurst.
Yeah, that's what I grew up on when I was a kid.
Okay. Yeah, I have not had it. Listen, I'm a recent convert to the importance of liver. It's a soft, spreadable German origin sausage made from ground pork liver, pork fat, and spices. It has a mild, savory, and distinctly rich metallic liver taste, often smoked or unsmoked. It's traditionally eaten on sandwiches with mustard, onions, and pickles, or on crackers, and is a rich source of iron and vitamin A. Well, that's why you're so healthy.
I didn't hear dill pickle.
Pickles.
Let's go plucker.
What's that?
Let's go plucker. I said I didn't hear dill pickle, but I
said pickles. It can be served in sandwiches with onions, mustard,
Oh,
pickles.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear plucker.
Yeah.
I didn't hear pickle. Anyway.
What is a plucker?
Go plucker. Plucker, the seasoning.
Oh, okay.
It's not one of your...
Okay. Oh, I get what you're saying. Well, thank you for the call. Plucker. I hardly know her. Let me see here. One more, because I'm going to get into this here, too. It's 8:59. 920, go ahead.
Frank, this is the other Adrian.
Hello, other Adrian.
Wisconsin.
Yes,
Howdy.
it's good to hear from you. Go ahead.
Yeah. I've got a kind of a special little simple recipe for what we call pudding. You take almond butter, just a tablespoon of it, and you melt in coconut oil and stir it together. It's delicious, and it's good for you.
Really? That does sound
Yes,
fantastic.
Sir. Yeah, you just take a little bit of coconut oil and melt it over hot water, and then you just fold it into the almond butter, and it just is delicious.
Well, that does sound great, and I maybe I can take it. See, this is why I want to do these shows. It gives me some really great ideas. Thank you for the call.
All you got to do is ask.
Yeah, well, I'm going to ask more often. Thank you.
There you go. You got it.
All right, have a great night.
Have a great day.
Yes, you too. All right. And just to get a few more on the record, I found the thing, by the way. Only it's a TikTok for some reason. All right, hold on. I found a TikTok of this. And let me let me unmute this. Agree. Unmute.
2 spoons.
All right, here we go.
Every morning.
Here it is. Here's Chef Stefano. Okay. And I gotta go. We gotta go with my maybe I can reach out to them and say, hey, I'm just gonna stop by and can we film a little bit? Get to meet the chef himself. Here it is. Take a look at this. Hold on, actually. That's a little bit better. Here we go.
My mother would take an egg yolk. I'm going to show you. We're going to make it right now. 2 spoons of sugar and ovos batudo. What does that mean? Battered egg. And she would be whipping it and whipping it and whipping it just the way I'm doing. And I used to say, oggi non voglio l'ovos battuto. She said, no, Stefano. You know, and my mom being a Neapolitan woman, you know, at her prime, big and strong. So, no, Stefano, uovo te face forte. Cellar wine's going in. Nice hot coffee. Put it right inside. Ah, che bello. And this was ovos battuto. Every morning.
Oh, it's good. Little Marsala wine or whatever else. We just put a little Marsala in it. And it's there's so many variations too. It's not that's just not like the only way to do it. But anyway, I'm going to read. I'm going to read through all of these gold pills on the other side since we're a little bit pressed for time. But I just also want to get a couple other things in here. My buddy Kyle says, I like my coffee like I like my women, caffeinated. Rosie says, I just saw a video about mixing orange juice and espresso together. Odd, but I would definitely try it. I drink black coffee proudly, says I talk to planets, baby. Since I was young, I'd go into the fridge and drink pickle juice from the jar, and still do from time to time. My 13-year-old son Logan started doing the same thing around 10 years old also. So that's genetic, the pickle juice. I do like ketchup on macaroni and cheese. Rosie comes back for a second comment. Grilled cheese sandwiches, dipping, and potato chips. Also dipping is it a strange habit? Now, I know people who dip potato chips into ketchup, and you know what? It shouldn't be weird. It shouldn't be weird. But it's just a little to me. You take a fry and you dip it into ketchup. Okay. and then the chip is is made of the same thing that the fry is. Why does that just not feel right? I don't know why. I don't know about lemon juice in coffee, but putting lemon peel in espresso is an Italian thing, says Jesse. Agreed. It's supposed to help the balance the acidity of the espresso and cleanse the palate after drinking the bitter coffee. Ryan, my friend Ryan, says, I drink coffee black, but sometimes I'll add some maple syrup. That's what Aurora gets whenever she gets a treat, a coffee treat. Dad, can I have some coffee, please? And depending on what day of the week is and how well she's doing with one thing or another, if it's in the morning time, I'll make her a little bit of an Aurora special. We call it the Aurora Borealis. She loves it. Honestly, it's fantastic. So put a little bit of half and half at the bottom. I give her what amounts to maybe like 3 shots of coffee. So just a couple of ounces. And just to make sure that it doesn't go cold from the cream. And then I put maybe a half a scoop of Keto Brainz, and then just a little drizzle of organic maple syrup. And then I take the hand blender from Keto Brainz and I give it she gives it a zap. And then I always taste test it to make sure that it's warm enough. If it's kind of gotten like room temperature, near room temperature, and not like cozy warm, I put a little bit more coffee in there just to be able to warm it up. And it is delicious. It is so damn good. So if you ever want to try the Aurora special with a little bit of half and half, get yourself a scoop of the Keto Brainz in there. And then if you wanted to sweeten it up a little bit with a little bit of organic maple syrup, it is damn, like if I ever wanted to sweeten my coffee up again, it would be maple syrup. Organic, like from Vermont or something like that. I wouldn't use the granulated sugar ever. I don't eat it anymore. You know, the cream is more than enough if you're not going to go black. It's a form of non-spiritual asceticism for some. Those that drink shitty coffee black are only punishing themselves. If it's good coffee, it can be enjoyed black, however. You know, that's a great point, turd hole. Just to take the coffee black because it's coffee, it needs to be hot and black. And if it's shit, I mean, you got to dial that stuff up a little bit. Like when we ran out of Quite Frankly Elevation Blend at home, you want to talk about real coffee snobs? I really can't stand drinking anything other than the Quite Frankly Elevation Blend. It just tastes so good. I love the roast. They do a great job over there. But whenever we have to buy bags of one thing or another to hold us over, it's not that it's bad. Some of it is better than others, but I'm definitely dialing it up, and I'm definitely grateful that I have the Keto Brainz because it balances things out. Especially if you go to a medium to a darker blend, and it tastes like you're taking ashes from an ashtray, and you're just filtering water through it, and there's your coffee. I don't know how people go super dark with their roasts. I don't know. But that's that. I'm going to go into the other side of this conversation, and we're going to continue with this. It's going to be at quitefrankly.tv. If you are out there, like I'm going to put the link in for the pilled. The flip side is going to be in the chat room right now. So come on over to the flip side, and if you can't see the link for whatever reason, the easy route is just to go to quitefrankly.tv, and the pilled is embedded right there in the center of the official home of Quite Frankly on the internet. Quitefrankly.tv. You can go right there, press play, and it'll play for you. Great show. Good things to talk about. Frank, I'm so sad to say I can get a link to your wallet. I take the picture and it will not let me go any farther. What wallet? What are you talking about, JoJo? Link to my wallet. Doritos and cottage cheese. You're welcome, says Twisted Pop-Tarts. See, these are the things we're going to be talking about a little bit more. I have so much more that came in from the thread on Twitter and more from the thread on Instagram. So let's go do that together. It's 9:08. Great show tonight. Thank you so much to Robert Phoenix tomorrow. Hopefully we are having a good one. Lauren just sent me a couple more texts. I will read those on the other side of the end credits. But thank you again, Robert Phoenix. I'll see you guys tomorrow night for the Thursday night show. We'll be live on Badlands. I'm hoping I can get Matt in here, but who knows? I've got a lot of fun stuff that is lined up already too, though, including discontinued Winter Olympic sports from the past. Sporting events and categories that have been discontinued for one reason or another. I can't wait to do this with you guys. I wonder how much of the show is going to get blocked for using old Olympic footage, even if it's decades old. It's just one of those things. But still, be here at 7 o'clock. Tell your friends, and let's have a good time, shall we? Yes, we shall. Real quick, Jeannie Yankee fan gets herself into the raffle. American Girl on YouTube says, Frank, I had an Austrian coworker who grew up eating peanut butter and dill pickle sandwiches. Sounded gross, but I tried it. It must be natural peanut butter. I kicked it up with my thinly sliced fresh jalapeno, and it's excellent. There's things out there to try. Steve Ellis says, I'm in Ohio. Give me silver to buy back my freedom. Oh, listen, you might get abducted by an alien before you win the silver. There you go. Gribble Sillin says, out here in Wisconsin, we put applesauce and maple syrup on potato pancakes with our fish fry. Wow. Applesauce and maple syrup on potato pancakes with fish fry. And Jay Brits, hello. Everybody's talking to each other now. I'm happy you guys have been here. Thank you so much. Colette Karma says, another fantastic show, Frank. And Colette, that is on Rumble. It's good to have you guys. All right, on to the flip side we go. Follow us over, click the link, and let's do this.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Quite Frankly's film before a live studio audience, and now our super chatters, starting with Jeannie Yankee fan, American Girl, Steve Ellis, Gribble Sillin, Stowstube, Jay Brits, Stowstube again, and Ashley Snow and Shotzi. And now here comes Two Dogs Mike D. He says, raffle? I'm in. Oh, it's a big raffle, guys, and you still have all night tonight and tomorrow's show to get in on it. Wonderful prizes, including silver. Become a sponsor, though. That's the gift that keeps on giving. And I can't wait to get some of these shirts out to you guys. Be well.
Storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle. Bye-bye.